It's a very different morning at Pebble Spring Farm this morning. Wow, look at the giant kale. Did I show you guys the giant kale? Of course I did. But why is it a different morning? It's a Sunday morning. Yes, because we brought in our cattle yesterday morning. 3 beautiful. I'm walking into the sun. You'll see it there, they are down there. There's wet dew on the grass. It's nice. Tanky and Nakia. Look how green this grass is here now, this time of the year. We've had the rain. That's been good. First one to see the little calf say, oi. See the little calf hiding in there? Yes. And what we've done is we've put tree guards up to protect the aloe trees and the citrus, so that these... Hey, you guys, Nakia, Tank, leave that calf alone. Those cows are gonna hurt you. Tank, 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 inside. Nakia, get inside. I saw that. So the cattle seem to be not too anxious about the dogs. But of course we don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want the dogs to get hurt. And I introduced them yesterday. And Tanky kind of tried to play with it. Tanky's got a bad reputation for playing with chickens. Playing in such a way that the chicken gets sent away to chicken heaven. Hey Tanky? Yes. I think he just likes the game of, if he chases them they run. And then he kind of, I've seen him before, then he kind of just squats down, not squats, but put his big paw down on them. But the animals that retaliate, like a cat, you know, that game ends very quickly because the cat kind of paws him back. The cattle seem to stand their ground, kind of don't move off, they're not really hassled much. They're very tame. So these are Nguni cattle. It's a South African breed. They are the most beautiful things. You see, you can hear the red-billed wood hoopoe. They're agreeing with us. So these are 3 cows. So the language that's used to them, the cow, that's the mother. Okay. And these 2 calves are called heifers because the language of heifer means a female cattle that has not yet had a calf of its own. So it's 2 heifers and a cow, that's what we've got in here. So I've kept them here in this big yard with the high fences. You see, you can see just the height of the fence there behind the cow. What I've experienced before with cattle is when they come into a new place, they're a bit jumpy and they're anxious about the trip that they've been on. Because she brought these ones in on the back of a trailer. And the higher fences are helpful. They seem to want to test the fences, but I saw these guys sniffing the fences here and there last night, but they were quite happy. So I'll keep them here for a while until this grazing goes down, and then I'll move them to camp number 2, which is behind the cottage, that side, the other side of the cottage, to the west of the cottage. So where I'm pointing now is west, guys. around about where the sun goes down. And then I will slowly train them to a temporary electric fence. And I'll show you when the time comes, but it's a single strand of electric wire, special electric fence that cattle graziers use. And that can keep them into small pastures that we will then rotate. So very good for the grass, to let the cattle demolish the grass very quickly within a day and then move them onto another piece for a day. Oh, beautiful. Look at this heifer here. So this one is the daughter of that cow over there. They're very tame. So Tanky is gonna get his head battered and his ass kicked by this heifer, and this heifer knows. They're a bit defensive of the little calf, of course. Tank? Tank! Yes, leave those cattle alone. So the idea here at Pebble Spring Farm is to create a silvopasture. What is that? It's kind of a pasture combined with forest. Especially these Nguni cattle. They have a very good reputation for browsing as well. Browsing and grazing. What's the difference between browsing and grazing? Browsing is the word people seem to use for animals when they eat leaves off trees and bushes. And grazing is the word people tend to use when animals are eating grass on the ground. So the idea here is to develop all this forest up along here. Most of that up there is invasive Australian longleaf willow. I'm trying to figure out the Latin name for it. I thought it was Acacia saligna, but when the Dendrological Society people came for their tour, they corrected me. The good thing about the longleaf willow is my experience with when I had the cattle here before, is they actually very much like it. They find it very, very palatable. So they will help in clearing that down. Of course, they need the longleaf willow cut down for them so they can reach it. So it's a combination. And this is what I see here for Pebble Spring Farm. It's about helping, working, curating, supporting the land here to be the best version of its artistic self, and using cattle to do that. Using cattle as one of the tools to help us do that. Of course, they're incredibly good for the soil. You know, they introduce all this manure, and their hooves open up the top surface of the soil, allowing seeds to do the stuff that seeds need to do. The storing of carbon in the soil. I don't know if you've noticed, as that cow, this heifer here, is grazing this grass. The scientists have figured out that grass is somehow clever in that it knows that when its top leaves are chopped off, let's say there's 20 centimeters or 30 centimeters of leaves of grass that are chopped off at the top, an equivalent 20 or 30 centimeters of roots are sacrificed in the soil somehow, and those begin to decompose in the soil, thus capturing carbon in the soil. It's amazingly clever. The point, I suppose, is it's not for us to understand why the grass is so clever and figured out how to be part of the cow system, and the cow system part of the grass system, and the bacteria system part of the soil system as it digests the manure of the cattle and how the cattle's manure in their intestines is digested by still other mechanisms. Yeah, sure, I mean, that's an interesting game that people may like to try to play to understand all those things, but it's really not a priority in my life. And just to observe this beautiful miracles, magic, what's the right word? We don't know the word, but it's like crazy, crazy, beautiful things that happen here in the pasture with things that we walk past every day, like grass and pasture and cow dung. Anyhow, I'm gonna get some coffee now. Ciao.